Number two, I wasn't Catholic. Number three, I didn't have a college degree at the time. And obviously, they felt they were superior to me. And their daughter was superior to me.
How did you support yourself at that time?
But I'm going to object to relevance at this point.
Obviously, it's going to sustained.
Let's call your attention to the more recent times of your marriage. How would you describe your relationship at that point?
I'm sorry, can I object again and just ask for clarification? When you said more recent times as it relates to their marriage, are we talking about recent as in 2014, or can we get to the time around the date of the incident?
Just to ask the court for some latitude to explain that.
Let him do his direct.
We had a very good marriage for most of our time. It was not improving in the latter years, but actually kind of, going slowly downhill, our relationship. But it was still good. We still had a very good time. We loved each other. I loved her. We tried to have kids, like actively tried to have kids, and went through medical procedures for about 5 years, so that put some strain on it. Things started to really get bad. Well, they got bad enough, I think, in 2008 when Natalia ended up having to go see a therapist. I don't know if it was a psychologist, psychiatrist, it was a counselor. So that was because of her state of mind kind of interfered with our day-to-day life. That's, I guess, the first sign of things not being awesome.
As you sit in the witness chair today, are you still married?
Yes.
Are you legally separated in any way?
I don't understand how I could be legally separated. There's no court that says I'm separated. We live in different households. We agreed to be separated, and we prepared some divorce papers a while back, but we also tried to reconcile, so I'm not familiar with the term of legally separated.
When you testify that things are going downhill specifically, what did you mean?
Natalia has been suffering with depression that, from my discussion with her and from my understanding, a lot of it stemmed from the way...
I'm going to object to one hearsay, and two, he's not a medical doctor and can't testify as to what her mental illness may or may not have been, or what it was caused by.
Can I restate the question, Judge? Sir, I'm asking you what contributed to, as you have testified to, things were starting to go downhill. You can't make any diagnoses as a physician because...
No, yeah, I understand. No, I'm testifying to what she's been disclosing to me.
Then I'm going to renew my objection to hearsay.
You can't testify to what someone has said to you. You only testify to what you heard or what you observed.
Okay. She wasn't happy. I don't know how else to explain that. Like, if I'm not allowed to elaborate to the reasons that she pointed out, then I'm not really sure how to answer that.
Let me call your attention to March 22nd, 2016. That's this year, happened in March.
Yes.
Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Do you recall anything out of the ordinary happening that day?
Yes, quite a bit.
What happened?
It was a culmination of 3 months of rapid downfall in our relationship and our happiness. We had a plan to reconcile and keep our family together, and the plan was for our daughter to grow up having 2 parents, whether they're married or not. That wasn't in question, but I wanted us to co-parent and she wanted to also. So, in order to do that, we both came to the conclusion that talk, and the one that was decided on was what's called dialective behavior therapy. The place that we found that was intensive enough to get things moving along and give results was just outside of Chicago. So we were basically in preparations of going out there.
I think I asked you this question, but I'm not sure you ever answered it. What do you do for a living, or what did you do for a living during the course of your marriage?
I guess I still am a construction work. Well, I've been on house arrest for 3 months, so I guess I don't do anything for a while. But I own a construction business that I started in 2001 that morphed into a real estate business, so I ended up flipping a few properties and also holding a couple of rentals. I also am a partner in a food truck that's not at this point working, functioning, and I'm also involved in consultants work for the medical marijuana industry.
In your opinion, why weren't you able to reconcile your marriage?
In one word or in one sentence?
I'm not limiting you, just I'm asking you a question, why couldn't you reconcile?
Lack of trust. Every time I extended trust and about serious things, every time I trusted her to follow through, she fell short. She would try really hard, but she always fell short for some reason. For example, she was scheduled to go for that dialectical behavior therapy, which was an in-house 30-day program followed by roughly a year to a year and a half intensive out-care program. She was initially scheduled to go on the 17th. That got canceled without a very clear explanation on her side, and it got moved for, I believe, the 21st, which again got canceled and pushed over for, I believe the last one was the 24th. So on the 24th we were supposed to be, I might be wrong about the date, it might have been 25th for my birthday, but 24th, 25th we were supposed to be in Illinois going through the intake process, and I was planning to be there for 2-3 days, whatever it takes for her to get comfortable and settled in, so I can then come back and take care of my daughter, our daughter.
Any other reasons for the lack of trust?
Plenty, like many reasons.
Tell the jury.
I basically, in the beginning of this year, the 3 previous months, we've tried very hard to reconcile, and one of the ways to build trust was for her to come clean, I guess. I can't find the right word.
For her to do what?
For her to come clean, because I can't find the correct word. Come clean about the multiple serious manipulations that she's done throughout our marriage. One of the things that came up was, and that was a complete shock to me, that she flat out told me she hasn't been in love with me since a month after we got married, since 2004. That was, there's no reason for people not to communicate that. Our whole marriage was supposed to be based on communication. That's what I push for. Just communication and trust on each other, and we can make decisions together. Those were the pillars of our marriage association, whatever you want to call it.
Do you have any suspicions of illegal drug use?
I'm going to object. It's relevant.
It's very relevant as it goes to state of mind.
Recently, yes. But more concerning than that, legal drug use. It came to my attention also through her, through documents that she gave me and through her admission that
But I'm going to object again. That's hearsay.
I'm
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear what you, again, you have to testify to what you observed directly, or what, you can't testify to what somebody allegedly told you.
okay. She gave me documents that those are the application documents for the DBT program, in which she admitted to having 2 to 3 glasses a day of alcohol for the first 6 months of 2015. Now, as far as my observations, trying to, those 6 months in 2015, January to June, July, we had very little and very poor communication, like completely out of the ordinary. It was strictly related to the timeshare with our daughter, and that's it. So there was nothing else. So she was very cool. And when we went back to discuss those times, she couldn't remember half of it.
Did you have any suspicion of infidelity?
Not for those 6 months because I trusted her, but afterwards I was proven extremely wrong.
Also,
She had, the reason why I didn't suspect is because we had understandings that she's free to date as long as, and I'm free to date as long as whoever we're seeing is not going to be around or influence our daughter. And she always made it very, she was very hard on me to make sure that if I were to see anybody, they would never be anywhere close to my daughter. So I just assumed that's the standards that she's using. In August, September of 2015 is when we started trying to reconcile, and she started basically opening up to me about the previous month. Showed me emails, text messages, and verbally told me about multiple partners, not partners that I would consider dignifying. And the worst part of it all was that they were all around my daughter on a regular basis.
going back to March 22nd, 2016, did you have a encounter with your wife at that time?
Yes.
What happened?
March 22nd, can you refresh my memory, is that the night of the event or the previous night?
That is the, did you meet with your wife on that evening?
Yes, I do.
Did you pick her up?
Yes.
What happened next, if anything?
March 22nd, it was...
That's the date of the alleged incident.
Okay, thank you. That's because there was another event the day before, so I want to make sure I don't confuse it. Yes, she was over for most of the day, just like she was over for basically every day for a few weeks. And earlier in the day, she left to go home to get prepared for seeing our daughter Nadia at daycare for the last time for a while, under the understanding that the next day we will be heading up to Chicago. And also, she was having a work meeting with a work colleague to discuss the project. And afterwards, she was getting close. It must have been around 8 o'clock. Our daughter goes to bed around 9:30, so I know we were trying to get there about half an hour before her bedtime, so we have a little time to talk to her and play with her and maybe tuck her in and put her in bed.
So you're going to visit your daughter?
Yes.
Okay, what happened next?
So that would have been probably around 8:30. I went to pick her up at her house. She came out of the house. She met me outside, got in the truck, and I've asked her how the meeting went. Any issues with the project that she was supposed to be discussing. And it turns out that it was not a work meeting whatsoever. It was a private meeting. That hurt me very much because it went back to the lack of trust. There was no reason for her to lie. We weren't exclusive. I didn't demand exclusivity. I wasn't exclusive. It had nothing to do with her cheating because she wasn't cheating. It had everything to do with the fact that she would lie to me about such a minute thing. How can I build a relationship with somebody that can't be honest about something?
What was your mental state of mind at that point?
I was extremely sleep deprived. Like I said earlier, can I go back a little bit to explain why earlier in February, after her disclosing a bunch of events where she was very responsible with my daughter, I'm not going to mention to say criminal, but
I'm not going to what?
I'm not going to venture to say criminal,
Okay.
but there were very serious events. We both agreed that until she gets the psychiatric help, the custody of my daughter, the physical custody, should be with me. So we both put together a document and signed it, which eventually, a month later, we actually had to notarize, where her physical and legal custody was attributed to me.
Did you feel you were depressed at that time?
Yes, absolutely. I've had a couple of really hard years after I moved out of the family home. That was a defeat for me.
A defeat?
Yes, my life revolved around building a family. I came to this country alone with $100 in my pocket and a bag of clothes. All I ever wanted is to build a family and take care of my wife and my kids. And I got to the point where I couldn't see any other way. It was like a Hail Mary. I had to leave the house to hopefully get some change to where we could build this back up. So yes, I was depressed. I was extremely depressed.
Did you have suicidal thoughts?
On occasions.
Had you and your wife ever discussed a quote-unquote suicide pact?
That night we did. Before that, we discussed suicide, but not a fact.
So please continue. What happened after you picked her up?
So after I picked her up, that subject came up, and I know it sounds minor, but it was like the drip that filled the cup and made it overflow. It turned into a big argument, and we kept going back to the issues of my wife not being responsible with my daughter and putting her in great danger, and not being honest with me and not giving me the respect to trust me that I would come in and help if she needed help. It was kind of a million of thoughts going in my head. I felt completely defeated. So the next, I know it doesn't make much sense, but the next step was we have our family home is 2 blocks north of there. So I just drove there to check our mail because the mail was still going over there. I know these things are irrelevant, and I can't tell you why I chose to do that. It just seemed like something to do.
Did you consume any illegal or prescription drugs that evening?
Up until then, no, but immediately after, yes.
What did you consume?
After we stopped and checked the mail, I walked out of the truck, got the mail, like a couple of breaths of fresh air. I thought that would calm me down, but that actually riled me up even more because one of our biggest arguments was the neighbor across the street. That was one of the biggest issues in our marriage, so that got me even more agitated.
How was that?
Can you approach briefly?
I'll rephrase the question. What type of prescription or illegal drugs had you consumed?
I got back in the truck and I basically had a bag of vitamins, and I felt defeated. I felt like I couldn't deal with this anymore.
Do you recall how many you took initially?
Peaceful.
Pardon me?
It was a peaceful. My best guess probably was 15.
15 vitamins?
I took a peaceful and I...
What happened next, if anything?
Natalia panicked a little bit, started yelling that, what are you doing, what's going on, and I said, I'm done, I can't handle this anymore. I don't have her as a partner to rely on anymore. I've tried to get help from a bunch of different state agencies and nothing came out helpful, but instead came out guns blazing at me. Money didn't matter, my daughter mattered, and I felt like I failed there. So I was just done. I told her I'm done, I can't do this anymore, I'm done.
Did you continue driving?
She said she wanted nothing to do with it, so she opened the door and stepped out, and I asked her to stay. So she stepped back in and closed the door and said, then I want some too. So she asked for some vitamins.
And did you continue driving?
Yes, I started driving.
Where did you drive?
I wasn't going a specific place. It was just driving because it was an enclosed environment where we could talk things over, and my plan was to basically commit suicide. Be done. And I wasn't thinking while I was driving. I ended up going south on I-75, and it was all hectic.
Did you have a weapon with you that day?
Yes, I always had a weapon.
What type of weapon did you have?
It was a MP9 shield. It's a 9mm small revolver.
Sometime during that drive, did you produce the weapon?
Yes, as I was driving and being, I guess, irrational would be the word.
What did you do with the weapon?
I pulled the weapon and I pointed it in my head.
What happened next?
She yelled something, I can't remember what. She yelled something, she freaked out and she reached for the gun and she pulled with both hands the gun away so I don't shoot myself. I guess I was driving, so she probably was trying to protect herself. She pulled it away downwards, and as that was happening, I had one hand on the wheel. My car was drifting out of lane. I remember looking up front and trying not to get in an accident, so I drifted back in, and as that happened, I heard the bang. I honestly don't remember squeezing. I don't remember if she pulled the gun and I had my finger on the trigger and that's how it happened, or did I flex because of the gun went off.
Was it your intention to shoot your wife?
Absolutely not.
What happened next?
If anybody ever has a gun go off in a closed environment, you don't hear anything, it's just ringing in your ears and confusion, and Natalia's confused and I'm confused and I panic. The only thing I could have thought about is I need to pull over somewhere and analyze and gather my thoughts and look if I hit anything and like see what to do next. Like I needed to stop driving, stop doing anything for a few minutes and just get my mind together.
At some point, did you wind up at the location of our lot in Detroit?
I guess I don't know what the location is. It was random. I just pulled off of I believe it was 7 Mile, and I just pulled the right. And I was looking for a location that was somewhat private, so I don't create a commotion. I have a chance to like get my mind together and see what we need to do. What's next?
Was it still light out at that time?
It was dusk.
Dusk?
Yeah, I mean that's what's territory, right? It was dusk in the morning.
Do you remember what the field itself looked like?
I know there was a bunch of junk and like overgrown bushes and weeds, but there was a fence somewhere in the distance. There were a couple of houses just a few blocks down. I don't know if they were living or not.
Was this a random location you arrived at, or did you have a plan to go to this specific
I
location?
still don't know what the address is. It was a completely random thing.
And how did you feel about what had happened at that moment?
Well, as I parked, I realized that she got shot, so I felt guilt for this thing because it was my gun. I panicked. I didn't know what to do next. First thing I did is my dad's a medic, so I have a little bit of that training class. The first thing I did is I wanted to look at the wounds and see how bad they are. I was really hoping it was a scratch. So I parked and I went around the truck at the other side. And Natalia was screaming. She said there was blood on her pant legs. So I looked for one of my work knives that's usually in my glove compartment. I cut open the pant leg to take a look at the wounds. And bleeding was minimal. There was blood there, but the wounds weren't bleeding anymore. I don't know if they were cauterized but there was a through hole through the left calf. It went in through the right calf and it stopped at the right calf at the end under the skin or the light muscle.
Did you do anything else to treat the injury?
I looked for, I usually have, since I do construction, I usually have a first aid kit, and I also play soccer in Detroit, so I have like minor first aid kit. Unfortunately, that was like ransacked throughout the soccer game, so I couldn't find much in order to actually do a good job cleaning. What I did have was sterile wipes, so I knew I could do a general cleaning of the area, and there was an antiseptic pain relieving spray with antibiotic that I used before on soccer accidents or sports accidents. So I sprayed that on it, and then I kept looking for sterile gauze and some kind of a sports tape, or I wanted to cover it up, keep it somewhat protected until I can get my thoughts together and figure out what's the logical next step to do. I mean,
you mentioned bleeding from the wounds. Did you take any steps to stop the bleeding?
No, there wasn't much bleeding when I looked at it. There was blood on the floor, but that was exactly the point, that the wounds weren't actually bleeding, so it gave me a false hope that it wasn't an emergency.
Sometime during this evening, did you lose your temper and strike your wife with your fist?
Yes.
Did sometime during this evening, did you lose your temper and use that gun and strike your wife with the gun on the head?
No.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Can you describe the gun that you had? Show the jury approximately with your hands how big the gun is.
It is one of the smallest guns. It's one of the best ones for concealed carry. So it's a single stack. So it's very narrow. Basically, it just packs one bullet at a time. It had a slightly extended clip, so it's about this tall.
Is it made out of steel?
Yes.
Is it, if you know, how heavy is it?
I honestly don't remember. I couldn't tell you actually.
3 pounds or less, or
No,
3 pounds or more?
No.
Oh,
It was
3 pounds?
ounces. It was ounces. It's a small, it's called a subcompact semi-automatic concealed pistol, so it was ounces, not pounds.
What happened next, if you recall?
After I looked at the wound,
Yes.
I went and sat in the passenger seat. The car was still running. Before I looked at the wounds, actually, I did. She caught me by surprise. I felt like she was unpredictable when she grabbed the gun and the way she reacted. So I kind of was scared. So before I actually went down to look at the wounds, I did take the handcuffs that I had hanging from the mirror, and I handcuffed her right hand to the seatbelt, to the loose.
And why would you have handcuffs?
For 2 reasons. I mean, we've used it in sex before, and also I was in the process of helping people out with fugitive recovery work, which basically means bail bonds. So it's standard equipment.
What happened next, if anything?
After that, after I mended the wound, I walked around the back to the driver's seat. Natalia took her handcuffs off, and I took a minute to think and think of what to say next.
Did your wife leave the vehicle at any time?
Yes, a little later on she did.
How many times?
Did I remember once? It might be more than that.
Did you take any more Vicodins at that lot?
I did. She did.
Were you still considering suicide at that point?
Yes, I mean, I guess at that point more than before. I couldn't see a good way out where I could still provide for the family. I mean, I was trying to think scenarios. If I call police, my wife's injured with a firearm, I'm drugged up. I couldn't see anything good happening for my daughter, so...
At any time did you observe your wife using a cellular phone?
Yes,
Was she calling or texting?
both.
How many times approximately did you observe this?
Throughout the night, I mean,
Yes.
multiple times. At least 8, 10 texts and at least 2, 3 phone calls.
At any time during the evening, did you lose consciousness or fall asleep?
Yes, further out in the evening. By this time that we were talking, I was already feeling effective, like this, so I was drowsy. Later in the evening, my guess is probably around 11, after Alexandra showed up and she left. I kind of felt like something was accomplished and I could finally sit down and calm down. That's kind of the last thing I remember for a while. I passed out.
Were the keys in the ignition of the car?
Yes, they were always in the ignition. They were running.
Is that the only thing that was on the keychain besides the car key?
No, there was a bunch of keys, including the handcuffs keys. That's what Natalia used to take the handcuffs off.
Did you ever intentionally aim that weapon at your wife?
No. No, I mean, that's one of the first rules you learn when you get a CPL and you're looking to do anything, even fugitive recovery. I know people don't consider that professional, but you're professional. First thing you learn is you don't aim at anything you don't want to kill or shoot, and you don't want to shoot anything unless you want to kill. So there's guns on. It's not like in the movies.
You have one moment, Judge.
Let's see.
You mentioned Alex. What's your relationship with Alexandra?
Alexandra. I'm sorry. Is this okay?
I can hear you.
I met Alexandra in early 2015, and we became pretty close friends pretty fast. And then, as Natalia came back in the picture, she became a part of the group. I would say, like they were friends also. She was somebody that I could trust because she was always honest. She was straight up. She'll tell you how she feels, you know, and she had a huge heart. That's something I value the most in people.
Did Alex eventually show up at the lot?
Yes, she did.
When Alex showed up, did your wife make any hand gestures or scream or call out in distress to Alex?
No. No, she actually asked me to pull it closer, to hand her some signed checks. Alex was there basically because we both told her to act as our agent in basically distributing whatever liquidity we had towards our daycare. I say daycare worker, she's more like family, she's an amazing lady. And we knew she was great for Nadia. And if we, you know, since we were going to go ahead with suicide, then the best thing for our daughter that we both love so much would have been Luba. And I wanted to make sure we wanted to make sure that she has the resources to do it right. So Alex was there for that purpose.
At some point, did you try to restart your vehicle?
Yes, yes.
Were you successful?
No.
Why not?
Well, I passed out and I woke up to an empty gas tank. So I tried to rig something up. I have a lot of like automotive type chemicals in the back of the truck, so I know a lot of them are flammable. I know there's a lot of them that you can use to get enough spark to get the car moving. All I wanted to be able to get to that gas station. So I tried a few different things, but they didn't cut it.
Eventually you encountered a gentleman in that field.
Not in the field, on the road, on the driveway road.
Did you eventually encounter a police officer?
Yes, that was the second individual.
And what happened?
Excuse me. I noticed him coming in from far away, and I had no luck with the first individual. He just backed up, like, took off. So
What did you ask that first individual?
I asked him to, I was going to give him cash to go get me a gallon or two of gas so I can get the car size and move on.
What was the first question you asked the police officer?
Saving.
Judge, just, I'm sorry, one quick second. Judge, no further questions.
All right. Cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, sir.
Good evening.
So your testimony was correct. You were married to Natalia Muntean.
I am married.
You are married to Natalia Muntean, and you were back on March 22nd, 2016.
Yes.
Okay. You've been married since 2004, correct?
Correct.
And you have a child together. Her name is Nadia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you testified that you were having some marital problems, and a lot of that you testified stemmed from your trust issues with Natalia, correct?
I guess you can put it that way. I think they stem more from her deceiving.
From her lying.
Yes. I mean, not my trust issues, but her behavior.
Okay. She lied to you a lot.
She manipulated and she lied about minute things for 10 years.
Okay. And so you didn't trust her, right?
I wanted to, I still trusted her in some aspects. I trusted her to take care of my daughter for the longest time.
Okay. And you said that you had this lack of trust in her. That's what you just testified to, right?
Towards the end, yes.
Okay. And that every time you extended that trust, you just testified that she fell short. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
I testified that, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about Chicago. You testified that you were going to go with her to Chicago, and it was supposed to be the week of that March 21st week, that around that time, correct?
It was supposed to be earlier, but that was the,
Sure. And then she canceled, right?
she postponed it. She didn't cancel.
Okay.
She postponed it once and then she postponed it again. So that was like the third final plan.
Okay. And so the two of you took Nadia to her daycare provider and dropped her off so that she could be cared for while you both were away. Is that right? You mentioned that there were multiple serious manipulations, I think were your words, and you gave her a lot of chances to what you describe as come clean. Is that true?
Not to come clean
Isn't that,
much.
I'm sorry, sir. Is that what you just testified to, that you gave her multiple chances to come clean?
I believe I testified I gave her multiple chances to gain my trust.
Okay.
Not necessarily to come clean. She was coming clean with a lot of them.
Okay.
It wasn't about her coming clean about the past. It was about her following through for the future.
Okay. And you mentioned that she started seeing a therapist. Is that true?
She started seeing a therapist in 2008, I believe, first. And then again in 2011, and then again in 2012.
So she was getting treatment for her mental health?
I think that would be a stretch.
Okay. Did you go with her to the therapy appointment on March 11, 2016?
I did, yes.
And did you encounter Miss Judy Redmond at that time?
I don't remember the last name, but I did encounter her therapist.
And you've been sitting here, you saw the woman that came and testified about that appointment, is that right? And so you would agree that that was her who you saw on March 11th?
It's been a while, but I believe so.
Okay. And when you and Natalia went to that therapy session that day, you would agree that Natalia had a bruise on her face, is that true?
Yes.
And that you subsequently admitted to the therapist that you had in fact hit her, is that true?
Yes, I got physical with her, yes.
Okay.
Physical what?
I got physical with her, I'm sorry.
And you would agree that you told the therapist that it was because she lied to you, is that true?
No.
You did not tell her that? Would you agree that when you left the room and Ms. Redmond was walking you down the hall?
That would be the second time I left the room. Yes.
Okay, okay, but that happened. You
Yes,
started calling her
I
aggressive.
called her aggressive because she was pushing me.
She was physically pushing you?
Yes. I was trying to talk to her. There was a reason I was there.
Okay.
So the reason, we never got to the reason. So.
But you were there nonetheless, and you
Yes.
and you admitted.
Judge, respectfully, I'm going to object. The prosecutor is not allowing him to finish his answers. She's moving on to the next question before he's done answering the question.
My questions are yes or no questions, Judge. So,
Listen to the question.
Yes, sir.
so you were there with her, correct?
Where?
I'm sorry, you were at the therapist's office with Natalia on March 11th,
Yes.
correct? And you told the therapist that it was you that in fact hit her, correct?
No.
You told her that you got physical with her. Those are your
Yes.
words. And that you got physical with her because she lied. You did not tell her that.
No, I didn't know.
You testified that you had very little communication with Natalia from 2015 to sometime in 2015, and she was very cold. You'd agree to
No,
that?
I didn't testify that.
I'm sorry, what was your statement then?
I said for the first 6 months of 2015,
Okay,
January to about July.
okay. And you described her as being very cold, correct?
It was very business-like.
Okay.
We had the kid and we had the split custody and it was limited at that.
And then your testimony was that when you started to attempt to reconcile your marriage, that,
I'm sorry, I didn't. She did.
I'm sorry, you testified
That
on direct
she-
that when you were trying to reconcile,
Us, yes, she was, not me. She was the one approaching me to reconcile. We together. I want to make sure that you don't mean that I went out
Okay.
there. It was a common effort initiated by her.
okay, if you wanted to work on the marriage.
Yes,
so-
absolutely.
Okay. And that was to benefit your daughter, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, not just her, but yes, absolutely.
Okay. And at that point in time, you said that Natalia started opening up to you about the previous months that she had had, and particularly the people she had been dating. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It
And
was
you,
more about the people that she had Nadia with,
okay.
or under supervision, or at risk.
Okay. I want to go to March 22nd, the date of the incident in this case.
2016.
2016. You said that you picked her up, and the understanding was that you were going to go see Nadia for the last time in a while because you would be going
Because
to
she
Chicago.
would be, yeah, she would be in an intake for 30 days in Chicago.
Okay.
Well, not in Chicago, but in Illinois, just outside of Chicago. But she would be an inpatient, so yeah, obviously, we've asked the people over there if we should be taking our daughter with us, and we were strongly advised not.
Okay, so you dropped her off at the daycare where she would remain until you got home, correct?
Yeah, she was dropped off earlier.
Okay. Do you know what day she was dropped off?
I believe that we did that.
Was that on Sunday?
No, it was before that.
Okay.
It was on Friday evening or Saturday morning. Friday evening, I believe.
Okay.
We initially had plans to drop her off even earlier because the plans were to leave earlier.
Okay. And do you recall if March 22nd was a Tuesday?
I believe my second was on Monday,
Okay.
but
Monday or Tuesday?
yes, something like that. It was beginning of the week.
Okay, so when you went and you picked Natalia up, she got into your truck, is that true?
Yes,
You would agree that's that 2007 blue pickup truck, right?
yes,
And that then the two of you got into a fight because she was supposed to be having a work meeting, but it really was a private meeting. Is that what you testified to?
yes. I mean, that wasn't what the argument was about. That's a spark.
Okay. But then you began arguing rather heatedly, is that correct?
It built up.
And I believe you testified that it hurt you very much that she had this private meeting. That's true?
No, it hurt me very much that she wasn't able to be honest with me about it.
Okay.
Not that she had the meeting.
And that kind of goes back to that lack of trust that we were talking about and that you talked about. with-
Right, and that built up on the fact that as much as she said she's willing to fix this, she only postponed the treatment 2 times, it would be a 3rd time, and her demeanor looked like she had she had no drive to actually follow through on this third time.
So you were getting frustrated?
Yes, absolutely.
Very frustrated?
I felt defeated.
Yeah, with her particularly?
With life.
Okay. Frustrated with her?
With life.
Okay. And you had previously agreed that even though you were married, that Nadia would be within your sole physical custody?
Yes, we agreed that early February.
Okay.
Now, I didn't...
I'm sorry, there's no question. 1 second, okay? So you testified that when you guys began arguing about this and that she didn't tell you about that, that was kind of the drip that filled the cup and made it overflow, kind of like a breaking point. That's true?
I mean, can I explain in one sense?
So is that what you said? Is that what you testified to on direct?
Yes, that's right. I testified it was like, just like the drip that made the cup overflow.
It's like a breaking point for
I
you.
didn't say breaking point.
No, I know you didn't, but I'm asking, was that a breaking
You're
point?
asking if I testified it as a breaking point. It's not.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
It was just like the drip that filled the cup and made it overflow.
Yes, that's the case.
You said that you got out of the truck at that point, and this is at the house. What street is that house on? Your former marital home?
Our former marital home is on Bolton Avenue, West Bolton Avenue.
Okay. And you got out of the truck, and that made you more agitated.
No.
That's not what you testified to.
Getting out of the truck didn't get me agitated.
Okay. When you got out of the truck, you got more agitated.
I got out of the truck to get a little bit of fresh air. I grabbed the mail. As I turned around, I noticed the house across the street, which was one of the main issues in our fight.
And then you got more agitated.
And that got me more upset and more defeated. I don't know if did I use the word agitated?
I believe you did.
Okay.
So then you got back into the truck with Natalia, right?
Yes.
And it was at that point that you consumed about 15 Vicodins, you said?
It's a rock, yes.
A fistful was, I think, what you
Yes.
said. Did you hand any of the Vicodins to Natalia at that point?
She asked for some, and initially I told her that no, because there wasn't enough, but she insisted, so I did.
Was that insistence before or after she had said that she was going to get out of the car because she didn't want anything to do with this?
After.
Okay. So she first says, I don't want anything to do with this, I want out of the car.
She didn't say I don't have anything to do with this.
What did she say then? I believe you testified on direct that she said that she didn't want to have anything to do with this, and so she opened the door.
I don't recall saying that she didn't want anything to do with this.
Okay.
I recall saying that she didn't want that.
She didn't want the Vicodins, right?
No, she didn't want me to kill myself.
Okay. So then she tried to get out of the truck.
Yes, she got out of the truck.
Okay. And then you asked her to come back.
Yes.
And then she got back in the car.
Yes.
And then according to you, she said, okay, now I'll have some Vicodins.
That wasn't the words she
I know that wasn't the words that she used, but that's essentially what she was asking for.
She was going to say, okay, may I have some bucket? And she said, in this case, I want some food.
Okay.
In big lines.
Okay.
Then I
In
want
big
some food.
line? In big what?
I'm sorry.
In big line?
I don't, yes, that's what I said.
Okay, I just want to know what you
Yes,
said.
I'm sorry. Should I speak louder or?
You're fine.
Okay.
So at that point in time, your plan was to commit suicide. Is that what you said?
Yes.
And then I believe you said that it was all hectic after that. Is that true?
After what?
You said at that point in time, it all got hectic.
The discussions were hectic. It got hectic after the gun went out.
Okay. When you started driving away from the Golden house, right?
Yes.
Where were you going when you started driving away from the house?
I was just driving because we were arguing. I wasn't going to a specific place. Initially, the plan was to look at my daughters, but Natalia looked in a very rough shape, sleepy deprived, and I sent and so did I. And I did not want to see my daughter in that shape. I did not want my daughter to see her in that shape. It was just not a good view.
Okay, would have looked like that when she originally got in the truck, and that was the original plan, was to go see Nadia, right?
Yes, she did look at this.
Okay. Okay, so you testified then as you're driving, were you driving southbound on 75 when you pulled the gun out?
Yes.
Where did you keep the gun?
Inside?
Where did you keep the gun?
Inside waistband.
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
So you're driving southbound on 75 and you pulled the gun out of your waistband with your right hand,
Yes.
and you pointed it at your head.
Yes.
You pointed at the right side of your head?
At the time.
At your temple. And you said that it was at that point in time that Natalia started yelling something and she reached for the gun. True? And you said she reached for the gun with both hands. Is that true?
I don't know if she reached with both hands. She ended up grabbing it with both hands. I'm driving, I'm looking up front. I don't know if she went with both hands at once or one first, and then, but yes, she grabbed it down with both hands.
And then as she was pulling it away, you looked back at the road. True?
As she was pulling it away, I looked at what's going on to the right, and as I did that, I felt the truck swerving. So I looked back at the road, and I was swerving out of lane.
Okay, and then at that point, you said you heard the gun go off.
At that point, I corrected, and as I was jerking, the gun went off.
The gun went off in your right hand.
Yes.
Did you have your finger on the trigger?
Probably yes.
Did and you said you didn't realize that Natalia had been shot until you got into the field?
I didn't realize how she got shot. I was really hoping it was a scratch.
But you knew that when the gun went off, you knew that she had gotten shot. True?
Well, she yelled, so I assumed that, she might have gotten hit, but it could have been the sound, it could have been anything.
So, let me get this straight. The gun goes off, and she screams or yells, and you weren't sure at that point still if she was shot.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
But you thought she was maybe shot, or sprayed, or something.
I considered she could be shot, yes,
Okay.
but I didn't know.
And so, your reaction to that was that you need to then go over to pull over somewhere to collect your thoughts and get your mind together. True?
Correct.
You didn't think to drive to a hospital at that point, you'd agree?
My plan was to commit suicide, and she said she wanted to do it, so...
But that's not what you testified to on direct, is that true?
I'm sorry?
That's not what you just testified to when your attorney was asking you some questions, is that true?
That's what I thought. I just said that.
I believe you said that at that point you needed to go somewhere to collect your thoughts, get your mind together, and decide logically what the next step, what the next thing to do was.
Yes. And I don't see the conflict here, I guess.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, you then you wanted to go somewhere somewhat private. You'd
I
agree?
wanted to go somewhere. I couldn't pull in a gas station with a bunch of people around. I needed a place where I could at least be able to just stop one-on-one, walk around the truck and see what happened without creating a commotion.
So you agree then that you randomly stumbled upon this vacant field in Detroit?
Yes.
And you've seen the exhibit,
I haven't.
People's Exhibit 3, it was up earlier.
Yes, but from there I can say names. I haven't seen any of the pictures, any exhibits, anything.
Okay, let me show you. I'm going to show you People's Exhibits 1 and 3. Take a look at 1. That's the field that you ended up in, right?
I don't know. I mean, possibly.
Would you agree that that's where you were found?
I don't know because I don't follow GPS. I don't look at the map. After this, I got arrested right away. I was locked up for 6 days. I came back to rest. I housed no internet. I had no time to look at any of this. Nobody showed it to me, so I don't know. From what I've been told, it sounds like Lifehold and Legal. I've been hearing those names before, so I have to trust that that was it.
Okay. And this is Exhibit 3, so that's like the bird's eye view. Does that look like the area that you were in?
I never saw it from that angle, so I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to be honest here. I just...
That's fine. Was the area that you ended up in randomly a desolate field?
It was they had a few houses on the block. They were further away. It was a dead-end street, overgrown vegetation. It looked like people were dumping random stuff, nothing major, just like clothing, and it looked like somewhere where I could get half an hour of collecting my thoughts without anybody asking me for $1 or stumbling upon me or...
But your plan was to collect your thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. So then you realized as you parked the truck in this field that she had gotten shot?
After I parked the truck and I went around and inspected, yes.
Okay. And you said that she wasn't bleeding that much?
At that time, she wasn't really bleeding much anymore. There was blood already, so she barely bled.
Did she start to bleed more later?
No.
Okay.
Not
You
that
said,
I
I'm
know.
sorry, you said at that time she wasn't bleeding that much, so. Was she bleeding more before, or did she bleed,
Well,
was she
there was
bleeding
blood on
afterwards?
the floor, so I'm assuming that she bled more before. By the time I looked at it, they were mostly closed. I don't know if it was inflammation or
The wounds were mostly closed?
the bleeding, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Can I explain what I'm trying to say? Or should I just leave it at
No, we'll just leave it at that. So then, you said that Natalia was screaming and said it hurt. That's at the time you went to inspect it, correct?
No.
No?
I didn't say she was screaming.
She was not screaming that it hurt.
I mean, she told me it hurt. I didn't say she was screaming.
Okay.
I-
So you said that you cut
Mhm.
open her pant leg to look at the wounds, is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when you said the bleeding was minimal, correct?
Right.
And so then you got out some sterile wipes and antiseptic spray
Yeah.
because you wanted to keep it somewhat protected until you could get your thoughts together and decide logically what to do next. Is that true?
Right, just like field preparation and any other
Did you say
situations.
just like kill preparation?
Bill.
Field
Oh,
preparation.
field preparation. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you said, you just testified you would agree that the wounds you didn't think were that bad, it wasn't an emergency.
But there was no heavy bleeding. There was no organs. I guess she was able to walk. I guess I didn't see the emergency and that I understand emergency.
So she had been shot through one leg and into the other and you didn't think that it was an emergency. Is that what you just said?
Well, could you define emergency for me so I can say if I can agree with that or not?
Somebody has been shot in one leg and it goes into another leg. That's not an emergency in your
It
mind.
wasn't life-threatening.
Okay?
It didn't seem life-threatening. I'm not a doctor, but there's no heavy bleeding. She's able to walk on it. There's no organs affected, and she's talking to me clearly. I don't understand how you would expect me to think that life-threatening at the moment.
I didn't say life-threatening, I just said an emergency.
Well, emergency to me is life-threatening.
Okay. So, at some point then, you testified that you lost your temper and you hit your wife with your fist. Is that true?
That was previous
Previous to what?
to the gunshot.
Okay. When did you lose your temper and hit her with your fist?
It was somewhere along driving on the freeway.
Okay. And did you punch her?
Yes,
Which hand did you punch her with?
my right hand.
And what side of her face did you hit?
The left hand shoulder.
And this was while you were driving?
Yes.
And did that cause any injuries to her face?
Okay. Yes.
What injuries did that cause to her face?
Redness, and eventually she got bruised up, and I think at one point she did get a cut in the cheekbone.
Okay. So she has a cut on her cheekbone, she had some redness, and eventually it got bruised up. That's what you just said?
Yes.
Okay. So, then it was, so you punched her in the car, and then you drove to the field, or I'm sorry, you punched her in the car, then the gun went off, then you went to the field. So, and then you said at one point you were sitting in the passenger seat. What were you doing sitting in
No,
the
I
passenger
didn't
seat?
say.
No, you didn't say that?
No, I said I went around to the passenger seat to inspect the wounds.
After that. I thought at one point you said you went and sat in the passenger seat.
I must have misspoke. There's no way I could sit in a passenger seat. I went to the driver's seat.
Okay, it was my misunderstanding. And you said, though, when you were inspecting the wounds, you felt that Natalia was unpredictable, so you did take the handcuffs that you had hanging from the mirror and handcuffed her to the seatbelt.
I handcuffed one hand to the seatbelt at
Okay.
like school.
And this is because you said she was unpredictable, correct?
Correct.
And that was because you said she tried to pull the gun away from your temple when
It was her whole demeanor, including that.
her whole demeanor, including pulling the gun away from your head when you were threatening to shoot yourself. Okay. So after that, after you handcuffed her to the seatbelt, you went about mending the wound, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then at some point, Natalia took the handcuffs off, right?
Correct.
Did they stay on her wrist?
I don't honestly, I didn't pay attention to it, I believe so.
You paid attention enough to know that she took it off the seatbelt, but you don't know if it stayed on her wrist or not.
Yes.
And so then at that point, you took a minute to think. Is that true?
I probably more than a minute, I took some time to think this.
Okay.
And to talk it over with her.
Okay. To talk what over with her?
We were there to commit suicide, so
And this plan, was this a plan that developed right at the point when you took out the Vicodin?
I guess that's when it sparked. I can't really pinpoint when it developed
And so
how much
according-
of a plan it was.
And so according to you, that it was just in that one moment where she got back in the car and said something to the effect of, okay, I'll take them too, that was the plan at that point, according to you?
She also said, I want to go through them.
Okay. So you, according to you, you're saying that you discussed it,
Discuss what?
committing suicide.
That was the amount of discussing at that point.
That was the amount of discussing at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
She said, then I want to go too.
Okay.
So, I mean, I understood it as, I'm getting back in the car, I'm asking for vitamins because I want to go too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the field. So you said that Natalia, you think, got out of the car or the truck maybe once, but maybe more often than that?
Well, once I assisted her.
You assisted her in getting out? Okay. Where did she go when you assisted her?
She just walked to the back of the truck.
Okay. And then after that, did you help her back into the passenger seat?
She didn't need help. She didn't want my help.
Okay, but you assisted her first time getting out of the truck?
Yes.
Oh,
Because I wasn't sure how well she's done.
okay, because the gunshot went to her left. But she could walk?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she was holding on to the truck, but she was walking.
She was holding on to the truck, but she was walking. So at this point, you said that you couldn't see a good way out. You'd agree that you said that, right? So you didn't want to call the police, that's right?
I was analyzing some options. I was sleep deprived, so I'm not sure I had all the options right, and I'm not sure I had all the choices right.
Okay. You're not sure you had all the choices right? So you said that Natalia was on the phone. She called and texted somebody multiple times throughout the night?
Yeah.
And one of those people that she called was Alex?
Yes.
Did you call Alex?
I also know that.
Did you call Alex from Natalia's phone?
Oh,
From your phone as well? And you instructed Alex to come to the field?
I asked her to come to the group because we needed her.
Because you needed her.
We needed her.
Okay. And what was the purpose in having her come to the field?
Like I said, she was the one person that I trusted, with valuables to know she'll be honest and she loved Nadia and she'll make sure that Nadia will be getting whatever it is to do at that point.
And you said that these are not your words, but the point was for her to distribute the liquidity that you had.
Yes.
And you gave her $2,000?
I honestly don't know the exact amount, just when I was there.
Okay. It was in cash?
Yes. I also told her about another business associate that owed me a larger amount. And
You told her about a business associate that owed you a larger amount of money?
Yes, and I
Okay.
told him and I instructed him to give her, that he's allowed to give her the cash initially.
Okay.
And at that point, Natalia chipped in and said, she's got some cash and jewelry also at her place.
Is this conversation happening over the phone?
Yes.
Okay. So Alex comes to the field, and you would agree that you went out to her car and you spoke with her, true?
Yes, I went out to the road, yes.
And she asked you what happened, true?
She asked me what was going on.
And you would agree that you told her that you couldn't take it anymore, true?
That was over the phone. In person over there, I basically asked her not to ask questions. I couldn't seem to kind of be confirmed.
And did you tell her to stay away from the truck?
I told her not to stay away from the truck. I told her not to, get very close.
Not to get close to the truck.
She could get fairly close.
And you said at that point you lost consciousness after Alex left the field.
Can you repeat that?
After Alex left the field, you lost consciousness.
At one point after we were done, yes. Not at that point where she approached the truck, but after things were done, at one point I felt like, like something has been achieved. I was drowsy already and tired, and I was sitting in the driver's seat.
So you
and
had
Natalia was calm also, and
So you had at this point taken care of some money business, and now Nadia was in daycare, so you knew that she was okay. So at that point you felt calmer.
yes,
Okay.
still without that.
Okay. You and Alex are pretty close friends, you said?
She's a person that I trust a lot, so there's not a lot of people out there like that.
Did you date her?
No.
When you woke up, you testified that you encountered some individual on the road.
Yeah. I woke up previously, but at one point when I woke up, yes.
Okay. What happened when you woke up previously?
The engine was off, it was getting cold. Natalia was like, kind of like, trying to,
I'm sorry, just because you're doing something with your body, I just want to describe it for the record. So for the record, you were kind of hunching up in your chair, almost getting into the fetal position?
Natalia was.
Right, but I'm sorry, because she's taking down everything
Yes,
in front of you that you
thank
say?
I couldn't find the words,
That's
so
okay.
thank you for helping us.
No problem. So Natalia was shrinking up into the fetal position because she was cold?
Yes. So I grabbed the blanket that I had over there, that's Natalia's blanket, it's a big blanket, and I put it on her. And I tried to figure out why the car isn't running, realized out of gas, and phones were out of battery, car was out of battery, I mean, I just barely enough. So the only thing that crossed my mind is, it's still still gonna be a few hours until it gets warmer, so I should try to make a fire in case it gets colder.
Okay. And at that time you had on jeans, a sweater, and a jacket, correct?
I had jeans, a gray jacket, and I honestly don't remember what sweater. I had some.
You had a sweater on. And you had a hat on at some point too, correct?
Oh yes, yes. The gray hat.
So then later you encountered another individual.
Well, I tried to get the fire going. That didn't happen. I went back in the driver's seat, closed the door. Natalia was covered up and warm, and I still had some clothes.
I'm sorry, you said she was covered up and warm?
Warming up. Yes.
Warming up.
Well,
Okay.
you could see by the body language that she was comfortable.
Okay.
So I had the bag of some other clothes in the back, and it was still dark. So
Did you give her those other clothes?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just said I was asleep. She was sleeping. I wasn't want to wake her up.
Okay.
I mean, I woke her up to see if she's okay. That was it. But, yeah.
Okay. And then is this the point in time then, when you go and try to get gas and you encounter some
After I
individual?
woke up, afterwards it was already light. And at that point I realized that, whatever else we were trying to do is stupid.
So you realize at that point that it's a stupid plan to commit suicide?
Yes, basically.
Okay. And so you go to try to walk out from the car and try to find gasoline.
I was around the car while with Natalia. I was still trying to figure out how to start the car. That's why I'm sure that he had plenty of pictures. There was cans of automotive chemicals all over, and the hood was up. I was trying to jump start the car somehow to get it out close enough to civilization. And as I was doing that, when all the red pickup truck was dragging down the road towards us, towards the dead end street.
Towards the dead end street. And you attempted to approach the red pickup truck.
Yes, I walked over and I waved my hand, and the guy then stopped. I yelled like, I want to get down on blast, and the guy just looked at me for any words, and I just stopped.
Okay.
So I didn't have a chance to exchange the words.
Oh, so the next person that you encountered then is who you now know as Officer Polar, correct?
Yes.
So you were out in the field at light herding field boats. You would agree that if that's the street, those are, then you would agree that that's where
I'll go by
it
your guys' life will
Sure.
be.
was. Okay. So you were out there about 17 hours in the pickup truck with Natalia. You would agree with that, true?
I don't know if it adds up to 17.
Okay. Somewhere around there. More than
Well,
12 hours, correct?
We were trying to get to Nadia's to the daycare around 9, because that time is 9:30 to go to sleep. We never made it, ended up driving away. So I'm assuming we got there probably around 10 something.
So 10, I'm sorry, I'm just in second. So from 10 p.m. to noon the next day, that's over 12 hours, correct?
Yes, I was pretty sure though that it was a noon that Officer Polak showed up around 11 and something like that.
You remember the time that he showed up?
I remember watching the videos with timestamp on it, so maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
You guys are have
The
more
videos with the
information.
timestamps on it?
Yeah.
So he comes up to your car, correct? He starts to walk,
No,
or sorry,
he-
he drove up. That was my fault, I'm sorry. He starts to drive up, correct?
He's coming down the same way as the other guys are coming down. So when I saw a second car, I had to take advantage of it.
And you started to walk out
I
to
walked
talk
out,
to him.
waving out, and since the other guy didn't even stop to listen to me to say hi, I decided I should be using my badge just to get his attention.
Okay. So you showed him your badge,
Yes,
and that's the Fugitive Recovery Agent badge?
yes.
Okay. And then he asked you if you were law enforcement, correct?
No,
He did not ask you that?
no.
Okay.
He said, is that police? And I said, no, it's Fugitive Recovery Agent.
Okay, so he never asked you if you were law enforcement, and you never nodded your head yes?
Absolutely not. I know the law. I would never pretend to be an official capacity. That's just stupid. That's federal offense for nothing.
Okay.
My whole point was to have him to stop, not pretend not something
Okay.
else.
So you kind of admire police officers, true?
So,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know where you got that from.
Okay. At one point in time, is it true that you wanted to get a black truck because that sometimes somebody had confused you for a law enforcement officer and you kind of liked that? Is that true?
Black outside. Can you rephrase that? Because I don't understand.
Yeah. When you, at some point in time, did you want to get a newer, different vehicle, like a black vehicle, because somebody had confused you for a law enforcement officer and you kind of liked it?
No, absolutely not.
No, that didn't happen?
Where's the information?
Okay.
This
Who's
was
asking if it happened or not? Did it happen?
no,
Did that
this
happen?
was a supercharged, two of a kind truck. I would never change it for what?
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with law enforcement. I don't understand what this is.
That's fine. So in the field, Natalia was cold, correct?
Okay.
In the field, Natalia was cold.
When I woke up, she seemed cold, and I put a blanket on her, and she seemed okay.
Was that right before Officer Polar found you?
It was still dark and Officer Polar came when it was light.
Okay.
So it was quite a bit before.
And she had these injuries to her face, correct?
Which injuries are we talking about?
Well, I think you previously described that she had some redness around her eyes and that it bruised up.
Yes, those yes.
Okay. And she had the gunshot wounds to her leg, is that correct?
Yes.
And you had access to a phone.
No,
This-
no.
You did not. How did you call out?
Well, I did at that point, but they both discharged, so at what point are you asking me if I had access to the phone?
Throughout a majority of this time that you were in this field, you had access to a phone, correct?
Not the majority, they also do around 10 o'clock or 11 and all the time by then.
So the phones, you say, died sometime after 11 p.m.?
Yes. I mean, it might have been 12 or 1, but it was fairly soon after.
When you saw Officer Polar, you asked him to go with you to get some gas, correct?
I asked him to help me get gas. I didn't specify, I didn't set up a plan or anything. I told him I need a gallon of gas. I'll pay for it, whatever it takes. I just need to get the car running.
You didn't ask him to take you to go get gas.
I don't recall saying that, no. I mean, I wasn't specific. I'm not picky on how to get gas. I just need to get gas.
You didn't ask him, though, to get help for Natalia, did you?
No.
Did you tell him that you were there to pick up your girlfriend who had just gotten beaten up?
I did say that, yes. It's up that he flashed something.
I'm sorry, there's not a question. One more minute. You had duct tape in your vehicle, correct?
I always had that. It's
Two
like,
different kinds?
I'm a construction worker.
So you had the silver gray duct tape and you had some black duct tape?
It was a cheap silver gray duct tape that day, and the black duct tape is only like, that's a lot stronger. It's something that would actually use in construction projects.
Okay. And you had other items in your truck, correct? Like you had that pillow in the back that we saw?
Yeah, I picked that up from Natalia's in my place.
Okay.
That went up in handle.
And you had other clothing items in the back of your truck, correct?
Yes, my dryer wasn't working and Natalia, I used the dryer in Natalia's.
Okay, so yes, you did. You had other clothing in the back of your truck.
I apologize. You're right, I should have asked this.
That's okay. Nothing else, ma'am.
All right, be direct.
Mr. Muntean,
Yes, sir.
was it your intention to shoot and kill your wife that evening?
Right, absolutely not.
Did you understand my question?
Yes,
Was it your intention to shoot and kill your wife that evening?
absolutely not my intention to kill my wife or shoot her.
Was it your intention to seriously injure your wife?
Absolutely not.
Was it your intention to hide your wife in the truck in that lot?
Yes, I don't understand what I don't even know.
Alex showed up.
Yes.
Was it your intention to inflict great pain and make her suffer and be cruel to her?
No.
Are you denying in front of this jury that you were very angry and lost your temper and punched your wife in the face?
Angry is not enough to describe it, but I'm not denying it.
You punched your wife in the face more than once, correct?
Yes.
Did you punch her in the jaw while you're driving?
Possibly.
You were,
I threw a few repeated punches as I'm driving with the hand on the wheel, so I didn't aim at specific things.
you heard your wife testify in this trial, correct?
I heard her testify in the trial on this.
Did she grab your hand holding the gun?
She did this. Well, she grabbed the gun also. Yeah.
That's my last question. If it was your intention to kill your wife that evening in that field, did you have many opportunities to do that if you chose to?
I chose to do it. More than I.
Let me ask the question again.
Yes, absolutely.
If it was your intention to kill her in that lot that evening, did you have ample opportunities to do that?
Yes.
I have no questions.
Recross.
So you punched your wife in the face multiple times before she got shot in the leg in the car, correct? And then you drove her to this field, correct? Whether it was randomly or not, you went to that field, correct?
I drove to that field.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's just, to me it's different that I drove to that field other than I drove her there.
She was with you in the car?
Yes, but my point wasn't to drive her there. My point was to go in a quiet place. I feel like
But at that point in time, your plan was that both of you were going to commit suicide, correct?
my plan was that I was going to commit suicide.
Okay, but you previously testified that there was a plan that you had talked about, so you thought you both were going to commit suicide at that point. Is that what you testified?
I testified that she said she wanted to go too, so I assumed that she had a plan also.
You assumed that she had a plan also?
She said, if you're going, I'm going too. What would you understand out of that?
Okay. So again,
I do not
at that
have
point,
plans
I'm
for
sorry,
her,
sir,
so-
can you please listen to my question? Okay? At that point in time, when you were driving to the field, which you said was a random location, it was your intention, your thought that you had a plan that you were both going to commit suicide.
No.
Okay. No further questions.
Please step down. Members of the jury, please return tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
May I explain the last case? What? May I explain why I said no? The plan was exclusively. Thank you.
All right. May be seated. To complete the record, and then turn to me asking to explain this counsel waiting nothing.
I was going to rest.
Thank you.